they are cleared each lot, which is foresting, and to access those individual wood piles, they put those driveways in, then it would technically not disqualify that from current use status.
Okay.
The other two have stockpiles, equipment unrelated to forestry, which would disqualify them.
Okay. And that's your professional opinion?
And I'm sticking to it.
Okay. All right.
And that would seem to be backed up from my conversations with Madison when I called up there. Though they preferred everything, you know, when they're gonna do it, like, instead of taking half the lot out, take the entire lot out.
Yeah,
But
the half acre, taking a half
That's
acre out on a 2 acre lot or a 3 acre lot or a 4 acre lot, to me, doesn't make sense. Because now you're gonna take this out, now we gotta tax them on 4 acres of current use for that lot and a half acre of non-current use. And then they're gonna have to pay another fee later on when you take out the rest of that lot when it's sold off.
You're talking about taking, is your statement in regards to the two lots that are gonna be adjusted? That they're only gonna take a portion of each one of those lots out?
Yes.
I would question that if each lot has a deed drawn up for a lot.
That's
I mean,
my
I
understanding.
know it's the fine line, but I believe the final say, as the official assessing officials of the town, that decision is yours.
Well, it's gotta be to the letter of the law. I mean,
Because the catch here is that they are all abutting lots by the same owner.
right.
That's why they're gonna do that.
Any abutting issue? Does that
What's that?
does that interrupt abutting acreage at all by doing that? I mean, I don't know where these lots are.
No, they just go right up the roadside, and there's a non-disturbed lot, at least one non-disturbed lot between the two. So by taking out a half acre on each one, there's still contiguous land in the same owner, and that's how the current use rule applies.
Okay.
Because otherwise, when they took the road out of current use that they paved, then that would have broke up everything.
No, because roads are not, well, I gotta back up. That may have applied there, because in general, a right-of-way does not constitute a division between property.
Correct, but that's not a right of way.
Well, that's what I don't know. I haven't read that part of the law, that if it's a deeded road with its own deed to the town.
Well, it's not needed to the
I know.
town.
So in this case, it doesn't matter.
So Ernie's been working on this, so I'm gonna wait and defer back to Ernie so he can see the email, we can discuss it,
And this could be correspondence or anything.
and getting legal advice, because if that is correspondence, I'm sure that's from their attorney.
Right.
So, moving on. Anything else, Assessor Clerk?
No.
Okay. Having cable meetings?
No.
Nothing from the cemetery. Code enforcement officer, road agent.
Code enforcement is quiet, nothing to report.
No buildings?
We have one shed, can't remember, there's 3 permits been pulled. A shed.
3 permits this year?
No, been
Oh,
issued.
okay.
3 permits been issued. What do my,
3 buildings.
can you read the names on the check? the checks that are clipped there, that'll tell me what they're doing. One is a gazebo, one is a shed. Just a little-
Richardson,
Yep, and that's the shed. Smith is the gazebo, and then Collins is adding a room in his basement.
go ahead, explain it.
I'm curious, how's he adding a room in his basement?
What do you mean by how?
Is he digging a hole?
Maybe he's finishing it off.
Yeah, he's finishing off, making a teen room office kind of thing in his basement.
So he's just gonna finish, he's just finishing off,
Yeah,
and that requires a permit,
yeah, he's adding value to his property.
adding
I
living
would have thought of
space.
that.
Finished
I would have
space.
thought of that.
Living space, finished living space,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yep, he's got, the heat's down there, and there'll be finished walls and everything else. Yep,
Amazing.
yes.
That's for another subject at another time. Anything else?
Code enforcement, no. Yeah, we'll do timbering, and then, no, that's all part of the code. We had, I missed the last meeting, but I was under the impression you were gonna be asked how we handle certain abatements by another individual in town. If that hadn't come up, then I need to ask. I have two people that have requested an abatement on the timber tax. One is for $200, thereabout, give or take, and the other one is for about $900. So I don't know exactly how to go about that, whether I just redo the bill.
What's the justification of the abatement?
Well, I met with the state DRA forestry, Jesse Bouchard, on Thursday to explain to me the details in our legal obligation, because the written material that I've been going by says when a landowner provides statistics, contracts, and all of that stuff, we're to use their figures. But the fine line to that is they just don't write it down. Well, we only sold this amount for this amount of wood for this amount of money. They have to supply scale slips. They have to prove that it was out in the open market. They have to show what their yarding and cutting costs are and all of that. So I'm in that process of talking with those two people. That's where I'm at with that now. But if it comes down to an abatement, do I just...
Well, they wanted an abatement because,
Yeah, one person says...
so they think,
They thought the tax bill was higher than it should be by $200.
because they cut more wood than they anticipated.
No, they didn't receive, see, how I determine it is I have a matrix I fill out for each logging operation, which takes into account the size of the lot
Uh-huh.
and the quality of the timber on it,
Ease of access.
the ease of access, and the location. And that's given a number from 3 to 9. And that number is applied and translated into a percentage of the high end. Then the state puts out, in 3 sections, they put out a northern New Hampshire, central New Hampshire, and southern New Hampshire average stump values for those regions. So I take that factor and plug it into their program, and it takes, and if it's, say it was 80% of the high, it figures the difference, and you apply 80% of that to the low side and gives you a stump value. They're saying, these two people are saying that they did not receive that money at the mill. So it should be lower.
Or the mill.
Well, this is that whole scenario. Yes, I'm to use their information, but they've got to provide more than just I didn't get this much. I need to see what they were paid. I need to see that it was actually fair, open to the open market. So if they've got an agreement with the lumberyard and there's no chance for somebody else to pay more, If they took it to one lumberyard here that paid $100 1,000, but the lumberyard over here was gonna pay $200 1,000, then that would give you an average. If it's not exposed to the open market, that's one, it needs to be exposed to the open market. It needs to be, they need to supply their cost for cutting and yarding. They need to supply the cost for trucking to bring all this in. And the one person with the larger request, that is my next, she called me and wanted to know where I was at. I did not return a call because I wanted to talk to you about the abatement process, but I am going to call her back and tell her that I need more than just her letter stating what she was paid.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I mean, this is getting kind of mixed up.
there's gotta be a burden of proof somewhere.
Right, the proof is on the landowner.
Right.
And the final call is, as I understand it, regardless of what she supplies, the town can say yay or nay, and then if she does not like that, or he does not like it, then they can appeal to DRA and go through a hearing.
Yeah.
And if you don't settle there, then you go to a whole board.
Okay. Well, as far as the abatement
But I'm asking
process
you.
goes, I don't think we've ever abated a timber
I don't
tax in
think
the
I've ever
history
had
that I've
either.
ever been in this, as long as I've been in this
I think it's been a
town.
very fair system, and we've, this is the first two in the same year. Nobody wants to pay taxes, but as you make less, you want to pay less taxes, whatever the reason. I'm just asking you about the abatement because it'll be 2 weeks before I get back to you at another meeting. I'm hoping to get this resolved, and if in fact they supply information and I think they deserve a portion of that or something, then how do I?
Do you, have you asked DRA about if there's an abatement process that's utilized? I mean, we have abatement forms for taxes on property.
Right.
I don't know if that would be if that would be the same form we would use or a similar form to that, if there is one.
Could you explain something about
I'll try.
simplifying this for my own
Okay.
sense here? Let's make believe you're doing my property for the sake of argument, you're the people doing it. I think I'm gonna get, when this happens, I think they tell me I'm going to get $1,000, or how does that all work?
As a landowner.
I'm a landowner
having a
and I want to have my
relationship-
property done.
And you have you're trying to develop a relationship with a forester. Is that your question? How
No.
is that done?
He has a logger come in to log his property.
Yeah.
The logger at the point that before they start should give you numbers on what they're going to pay you, your stumpage for the different types of product they're going to remove from your property.
The state of New Hampshire says that there is to be a written contract between landowner and logger.
And we've signed those things.
Yeah. Well, no, those are intent to cut.
Oh,
So
I'm thinking
that's
intent to-
just, all right,
Okay.
but a landowner is supposed to have a contract, a written contract
With
with
the-
the logger or forester.
Okay.
And that will tell the homeowner what they're gonna get cut, what they're gonna get paid per species. The intent to cut tells them what they're estimating the amount they're gonna cut. So that'll give you a rough idea of the taxes.
How much
that
you're
the
supposed to
landowner is
make
gonna
and
be
how much the
responsible
tax,
for.
yeah.
Now, you can have variations in those contracts where if you're negotiating with a logger or forester and you don't think they're gonna pay you enough, you can negotiate them to pay the tax. It doesn't happen very often, but, contracts can be written.
So how would it end up being the $900 off? Now, you don't use this
Markets
specific
change.
case.
In this case, they're claiming that the pine market had died off just prior to being cut.
But
We
that's
didn't-
not the homeowner's
Well-
fault, that would be the loggers, and then they would have to renegotiate the
That's
contract.
that's why all this, you need the contract is supposed to be brought in to show that, okay, is there a contract difference? Did they renege on their contract?
And the slips would-
this is a big learning curve for me, because again, I've never had anybody.
And the slips would tell you that, right, that they get from the mill?
Yeah, if
The
they
slips
give them
would
the
tell
slip.
you, yes. Yep.
They don't always give the homeowners the slips. I'd ask DRA if there's an abatement process, or if they just say we